wild card weekend that starts on Saturday early. Chargers, Houston Texans. The Bolts, legitimate chance to win this game. And even though I have been critical that I don't firmly believe in the Chargers' 11-6 record because who the hell did you play? They're now playing a Houston team. And it's a Houston team. It's not the same Houston team that had a really good first half of the season. And I think you need to pay attention to that. Justin Herbert, these statistics are just so impressive. 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And he's done all this. This is the 4th different offensive coordinator and system in 5 years in the NFL. And his kid's putting up these kind of numbers. What Justin Herbert has done has just been spectacular. But there are some concerns. Quentin Johnston's not practiced because of the bruised thigh. Josh Palmer's not practiced because of the ongoing heel problems. They have gotten a couple of their banged-up offensive linemen back. They don't know how long the J.K. Dobbins can hold up. They did sign Ezekiel Elliott. He's had 3 days of practice. The ex-Dallas Cowboy guy will be an insurance policy. Don't think Gus Edwards gets to play this weekend. Chargers defense is giving up only 17 points per game. So I think the Bolts can win this game. But Herbert's going to have to do some magical things. Houston is just not what they were early. Houston had that phenomenal start to the season, and now they're just scuffling. A lot of nicks in the offensive line. They got 2 of their wide receivers have been hurt. One had a catastrophic injury. C.J. Stroud started to take some more hits. However, the last couple of weeks, they started to pound the football. Dameon Pierce ran for 176 yards last week.
Wow.
They never let the other team's quarterback on the field. And they got Joe Mixon, who's now in rotation with Dameon Pierce. Pierce has had a history of injuries. If those guys can run the ball on the Chargers, then maybe Herbert doesn't get off the sidelines and get on the field to work his magic. There's just no doubt, though, C.J. Stroud's a good player, but he doesn't have all the weapons around him. Stroud's thrown for 3,700 yards and 20 touchdowns. Their defense has given up only 315 yards per game. The defense has got 49 quarterback sacks. The defense has got 29 takeaways. So Houston's defense is going to have to carry the mail against Justin Herbert. And if Herbert doesn't have everybody healthy, there's an awful lot put on his shoulders to do this. I think the Bolts can win this game because Houston's not what Houston was early in the season. John?
You're right. I think that the strategy of keeping the Justin Herbert off the field makes a lot of sense. Isn't that what happened in that Jacksonville game 2 years ago? They couldn't stop the run. The Chargers couldn't stop the run. Yep. They couldn't get their offense back on the field in the second half. That could be a formula for Texas. And by the way, the fans in the NFL, the Texans were like the darlings of the NFL a year ago. Do you think all that love is going to come back?
Well, they're playing a little bit better now, but they had a bad surge in the middle of the season. But that was all a byproduct. They got so many guys hurt. And we'll just have to see. The Chargers are of the opinion, we only give up 17 points per game. Yeah, but you're playing a lot of bad teams. So I don't necessarily believe the Bolts defense is as great as Harbaugh and company want you to believe. I think it's going to be an enormous challenge, especially since we know the fact that when the Chargers played high-powered offenses, they got beat. They gave up lots of yards, gave up lots of points. And so you got C.J. Stroud at home. You got 2 running backs who can play power ball. And if Bosa and Khalil Mack and those guys can't get off the field, then the Chargers have a problem because then everything is on the shoulders of Herbert, and Herbert's playing against a defense that's only giving up 315 yards per game. So enormous challenge. What the Charger defense can do to slow down Houston so Herbert can get on the field, I think is one of the intangible things to watch in the early game on Saturday. Second game. Should they even play this game? Pittsburgh goes to Baltimore. Pittsburgh's dragging a 4-game losing streak with them into Baltimore to meet a Ravens team that's just phenomenal on offense. And you look at Lamar Jackson, he now has 5,087 all-purpose yards this year. He's accomplished 45 touchdowns this year. Jeez. And when he's not doing it, Derrick Henry's doing it. Derrick Henry, over 2,000 yards rushing, 5.8 yards per carry as their running back. And they got the wide receivers, they got the tight ends to throw to. They're just running and gunning, and nobody's been able to really slow them down. Now, it is interesting. Lamar Jackson's career record in the playoffs is not good. It's 2-4. But that's a young quarterback learning on the job. And this is a very different Lamar Jackson now than we've ever seen before. As for Pittsburgh, 4-game losing streak, they have no firepower. I mean, they're playing, I call it pedestrian offense. And now they got this attitude issue with George Pickens, a wide receiver, just let them down so often. And as you and I have talked extensively about what a great coach Mike Tomlin is, and it gets his teams better and better as the season goes on. Yet Mike Tomlin, he's never had a losing season in 18 years, but he's only 8-10 in postseason play. And they haven't won anything in the playoffs in recent times since the Roethlisberger era. So I think this is going to be really hard. I think it's going to be really ugly for the Steelers in Baltimore to meet the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, they just played last week, right? I mean, so this will be a grudge match between these two teams, but it's funny how the Steelers started off the season terrible, and then suddenly they were way better than we thought, and now they're terrible again. So Lamar Jackson, yeah, this is his year. I don't see the Ravens having any trouble in this game.
And he's been phenomenal. I mean, his touchdown to interception ratio is just absolutely amazing. So he's not making mistakes because he's got better people around him. He doesn't have to do it all himself. Third game in the AFC. Denver goes to Buffalo. Josh Allen, one-man gang. What a phenomenal season he's having. He's an MVP candidate. He might win it were Lamar Jackson not in the league. Josh Allen's done a phenomenal job for the Buffalo Bills. You got Denver and the kid. Bo Nix has had a really good season. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. Even Denver just kind of squeezed into the playoffs. Denver's got 6 of their losses by a touchdown or less with a rookie quarterback. I mean, they've been in virtually every game this season. But Buffalo's their offense has got 65 touchdowns this season. 65 touchdowns. Denver is scuffling a little bit, but Denver's living off their defense. Denver's got 63 sacks on the season. Denver's defense got 25 takeaways. You know, but Josh Allen, the 2 young wide receivers led by Shakir, who's had a spectacular rookie season, and James Cox has really grown into becoming a really, really good running back. And the sucker is in Buffalo, where it's going to be cold. I just think that there's just too much here. And in fact, this is Bo Nix's first rodeo, despite his 3,000-yard season throwing the football and not making a ton of mistakes. I just think there's way too much firepower in Buffalo. So I think I got the Bills winning this one, as lopsided as, say, Baltimore's beating the Steelers.
Have you gotten a weather report for Buffalo? Are they getting snow?
It's January, pal. What do you think?
Yeah, this will be good, you know. And I to me, I'm fascinated by this because the 2 quarterbacks are really interesting guys. I was watching this thing. It was on Fox Sports 1 last night, where they were breaking down the perfect quarterback throwing motion and the mechanics of throwing and how it's changed. And Josh Allen was a centerpiece in this documentary. And it was remarkable to see the changes he made to his mechanics that enabled him to go from Wyoming Josh Allen to superstar MVP potential Josh Allen. So, yeah, this is going to be a big game for Buffalo, but I just want to see Bo Nix. He's a rookie. I hope he shows well.
Bills are 8-0 at home. Oh. And that was with the weatherman and as their best friend, too.